Hello! In this video, we are going to learn about the types of characters as we read about a fantastic story. Let me start by asking you these questions. How would you feel if you were as tall as the highest building in your city? What would you do? How would you feel? Right? Think about that for a moment. Let me ask you then to read the following summary of this story. Probably you're already familiar with it. A surgeon named Lemuel Gulliver travels to Lilliput and recounts the conditions that made his contact with that land possible. For some time, he lives in that land of little men. Destiny then takes him to Brobdingnag, the land of the giants, where he becomes a Lilliputian and learns that he belongs to a race that is as despicable as it is bloodthirsty. Despicable means that everybody despises them or hates them, and bloodthirsty, that they are really bad and they are very warlike, that they like to fight very much. Gulliver makes two more journeys. He passes through Gobdabdrib, the island of wizards, and through a territory inhabited and ruled by rational horses. The Lilliputians make him see on a small scale the ridiculousness of the political customs and habits of his time. Wow, we usually hear about the first part of the story. That is the complete story or recount of his journeys. All right, let me ask you these simple questions about the text. What is the land of Lilliput known as? It is known as the land of little men, yes? And what is the name of the land of the giants? It's Brobdingnag. Yes? Good. Now that you have learned about some of the characteristics of the story or some of the elements of the story of Gulliver's Travels, that is the name of the book, I would like to point your attention to the types of people that intervene in the story, that take part of the plot of the story. We call them characters, and the characters may have different characteristics. Depending on their participation in the story, they can be main, secondary, or incidental characters. Main characters are those people who the story is mostly about, and or sometimes they are the ones who tell the story. All right? The secondary character just contributes to the full development of the story, but that secondary character is not usually the most relevant person in the story or character. And the incidental characters are those that are part of the setting of the story, the ones that participate, but they don't directly affect the main plot of the story. All right? So, taking that into account, I would like to ask you to look at the description of some of the characters in Gulliver's Travels and determine whether they are main, secondary, or incidental characters. I am going to read the description of the characters with you, and then you will decide what type of characters they are. Okay? So the practice activity is this. Determine whether each of the following characters is a main, secondary, or incidental character. And first, I have Gulliver, the narrator and protagonist of the story, right? The emperor, who is the ruler of Lilliput. His power and majesty impress Gulliver deeply, right? The farmer, Gulliver's first master in Brobdingnag. Glumdalclitch, the farmer's 9-year-old daughter who is 40 feet tall. All right. The queen of Brobdingnag, a kind and generous giant woman. The king of Brobdingnag, who maintains a hostile relationship with Gulliver. The yahoos, unkempt human-like beasts. Unkempt means that they are not very groomed, that they are not very, that they don't look very clean, and unkempt means that with all their hair in a mess, all right? They are unkempt human-like beasts who live in servitude to the Houyhnhnms. Those are the yahoos. Houyhnhnms are rational horses who are highly intelligent and deeply wise. All right? Don Pedro de Mendes, the Portuguese captain who takes Gulliver back to Europe after he is forced to leave the land of the Houyhnhnms. And Lilliputians and Blefuscudians, two races of miniature people whom Gulliver meets on his first voyage. All right, those are the characters that you have to analyze, whether they are main, secondary, or incidental characters. All right, I'm going to ask you now to pause my video, complete the activity, decide what kind of characters they are, and I'll see you in a moment. All right, thank you very much for having completed the activity, and here I have the answers for you. The main character is actually Gulliver. Yes, secondary characters, the emperor, the farmer, the queen, the king, Don Pedro de Mendes. And the incidental characters are Glumdalclitch, the yahoos, the Houyhnhnms, Lilliputians, and Blefuscudians. All right, so those are the answers. I'm going to ask you to listen to a native speaker pronounce these names so that you can repeat after him. All right, so listen and practice, please.
Main character, Gulliver. Secondary characters, the emperor, the farmer, the queen, the king, Don Pedro de Mendes. Incidental characters, Glumdalclitch, yahoos, Houyhnhnms, Lilliputians, and Blefuscudians.
All right, thank you very much for having made the effort to pronounce those names. I know that those are not names that you are not going to use, that you are going to use in your everyday life, but this will help you in some way pronounce sounds that you are not used to pronouncing in English or in your own language. So thank you very much for having participated in this activity and for remembering that we have main, secondary, and incidental characters. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.